Welcome to Stompbox. I'm Richard and I'm really pleased to welcome Zach from Truetone to the store. He's come from the States to see us, so thank you very much for making the journey. And he's brought with him some lovely pedals. You may know the company previously as Visual Sound, so a lot of famous pedals, Jekyll and Hyde, the H2O, and probably for us the biggest selling is the One Spot, as well as with the One Spot Pro power supplies, which are new out. But today we're going to focus very much on the gain pedals within the range. They're all twin channel. They have two completely independent sides, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. So
you can go in one and out the pedal and back into the pedal if you wish to insert pedals that way, or reverse the order, and what have you. But tell us a bit about them, and hopefully let's hear some as well.
Absolutely. So these were the first dual effect pedals. So one housing that had two effects in it, and just as Richard said, we had put the ability to change the order and just to give people the versatility of that. Well, let's start off with this first pedal. It's called the Route 66, and it's a compressor and an overdrive, all in in one pedal. And with the compressor, we kind of upped our game by putting a clean mix on there. And the advantage of a clean mix is you can do what's called parallel compression, and that's a studio technique where you have dry signal and you have compressed signal that's mixed together instead of 100% of the signal being compressed. And the advantage of that is you're able to get the compression and the added sustain, but by mixing back in your dry signal, you still get the stringiness and the attack that you want to hear. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. So let me start with compression, but first I'm just going to give you a little bit of just the guitar and the amp. No reverb, no delay, nothing. This is just the dry signal. So here we go with the compressor. So I'm going to put it all the way compressed, and I'm going to play a lick, and then I'm going to change it to 50-50. So right now this is 100% compressed. So now, by mixing back in some of the dry signal, I'm going to get a little bit less of the squash, but I'm still going to have the sustain, and I'm going to get some of the stringiness back in.
Nice. It's much more natural that way, isn't it? It's
Yes.
You're letting the sound breathe that way, and it doesn't sound obviously compressed.
Yes. So again, you don't get it's difficult with guitar because when you put a lot of compression on it, it can start to sound like rubber bands, especially on the low strings on a guitar, and you hit in it and you get this kind of delayed attack. But people like compression because it kind of evens things out, and also it gives you a little more sustain. So this way you kind of get the smoothness, but you still have some of the attack and stringiness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So then moving on the Route 66, this is the overdrive side, and this is based on a pedal that we made for Reverend many years ago called the Drive Train, and it was popular with Joe Bonamassa and a number of other guitar players back then. And the pedal that we made for them started going for a lot of money on eBay. And so when we were redesigning the V3 version of the Route 66, we decided to put the drivetrain circuit in there. So here we'll have a go at that. Again, I'm going to give you some first the bypassed sound of the guitar. This is no clean mix dialed in yet. Again, this pedal has has drive, treble, bass, volume, and then it has a clean mix control, because again, even with Overdrive, it's nice to be able to mix in a little bit of your dry signal. So then you get kind of kind of best of both worlds, where you're able to get grit, but still have a little bit of clean signal in there, which just, it means that you can set your drive a little bit higher and have the dirt, but just have a little bit of clean in there. So
it's more defined sound. We'll hear it.
Yeah. So this is again. Well, let me give you the dry signal first, and then that's 100% effect, and then we can. So this is 50-50. So then you can. Or back to 100% effect. So just depending on if you want a little more stringiness, or if you want more of the compressed, overdrive sound. So again, this is every feature that we put on our pedals are to make the pedal as kind of tweakable as we can, that makes sense for the player, so that they can get the sound that they need to get.
Sure. Okay.
So then moving on, we have the XO. The XO is a dual overdrive, because years ago we started seeing more and more players were having two overdrive pedals on their board. In the past, a player would tend to have a single overdrive pedal, or maybe they had an overdrive and a distortion. But more and more we were seeing, two overdrive pedals, and they were stacking them also. So we decided to make a dual overdrive pedal. So the XO has two different circuits in it. The first circuit that's on the right is very loosely based, on a tube screamer circuit. It started that way, but we changed so much in it. It still has a little bit of the mid hump, but it has more low end, and again, you can tell we've kind of been fixated with the clean mix control. This has a clean mix on it also, and also has a clipping control, so you can switch between different types of clipping, and also has a bass boost control. So let's hear the dry signal, and then we'll kind of move through some of these features. So again. So that it was the C clipping, which is kind of closest to a tube screamer, but it's asymmetrical clipping as opposed to symmetrical clipping. And let's move on to the A setting, which is diodes, actually LEDs. So then I'm just going to give it B for a second. And it changes as much the feel of it as it does, the sound. So sometimes you might think it's subtle, hearing it, but you feel it more. It kind of changes whether the drive pedal has more compression or a sponginess, or if it's more harder sounding. Mm-hmm. So and then the bass boost, you can have it where it's no bass boost at all, or you can set it to slight bass boost. And again, you can use the clean mix control to bring back in some of the dry signal, so you can get kind of a mix. Very nice. We move on to the left side, and with this side of the pedal, we wanted a less. We didn't want there to be a mid-range emphasis on it, like the right side has a little bit extra mid-range on it. This is EQ-wise, it's more flat, and so again, I'll let you hear the bypass signal. Let's give it a little more drive. So you can bring up more bass. It's got a bass control. So if you want to get even more, so you can versus. So helps dial in the pedal better. So that's those are the two sides of the XO, and then you can have them both on at the same time. You can stack them, and I'm gonna bring the volume down a little bit just to make sure we're okay.
Nice. So 3 sounds in one,
Yeah.
as they all do, really. But it's just three flavors of 3 sounds.
Right.
The Jekyll and Hyde, then.
Yes, the Jekyll and Hyde is a distortion and an overdrive. This is kind of our flagship pedal. So this is the pedal that really put us on the map in the late, actually it was 1997. This pedal came out, and originally it was silver, and it was shaped like home plate. And there was a review in Guitarist magazine back then, and that's what really put the company on the map. It was really the demand in the UK for the pedal really kind of helped launch the company. So to everyone out there that's ever bought a Jekyll, or especially that bought those silver Jekylls in 97 and 98, thank you. I have a job because of you.
Excellent. And it's a smaller.
Yes,
pedal now,
yes. So as people are cramming more and more pedals onto pedal boards, we had more and more requests for a smaller form factor, and so we went to a smaller housing, and we also put the jacks on the back of the pedal, just to make it as pedal board friendly as possible. So you've got 2 effects in one housing. Jacks are on the back. You can change the order, and and this again, it's a distortion and an overdrive, and we've made the distortion side. We've made it more versatile with a voice switch. In the past, it was a little bit more of the scooped kind of dual rectifier kind of sound only on the distortion side, but we put an A and B voice. So the A is kind of the normal scooped sound, and the B is kind of more of a what I would call kind of that more of a late 70s type Marshall-y kind of tone. So it's so let's just start with that. So here we go with the distortion side. Here's the drive. Now we can change to the B side. Might have to. we've got so the pedal has, gain control, treble, bass, and volume. It has a bright switch and the A and B settings, and there's also a mid control, so you can boost the mids, and we're gonna boost, and you can also boost the bass. And moving on to the overdrive side, it's a similar circuit to the left side that's in the XO. Again, with our fixation with the clean mix, of course we had to put a clean mix.
Of course.
Since we've kind of already heard this a little bit, I'll just play a little bit, and I'm gonna put the clean mix about halfway, and so again, dry signal. All effect. 50-50.
Very good indeed. So I guess in summary, the overdrive and compression, the dual overdrive, and the overdrive and distortion is the three that we've got here today. And I think it's really important for in this world that we live in, where people have become obsessed with the size of pedals. When you take into account the fact that these are two pedals, there's no patch cables in between them. If you took two separate pedals with patch cables on the sides of the pedals, easily these are certainly no bigger and probably smaller, given that you can put these right up against each other. So I think when you look at that, when you look at the fact that most people using these pedals would be replacing two pedals with them, actually they could save pedal board space with them. So particularly well designed.
It's a space, it can save you space. And then again, one of the features that's unique about this series is the ability to switch in between a buffered bypass or true bypass, and there's a switch for each side. So people can argue about buffered versus true bypass, and really it comes down to what you like, and that's why we put the switches on there. That's why we have all the features on our pedals are all based on the guitar player having the ability to dial in the sound that they want. So if they want true bypass, they can set one side or both sides to true bypass. Use your ears. I mean, that's the most important thing. Use your ears when you're buying pedals, when you're looking at features, just what sounds best to you. And so that's what we've tried to do with our pedals, is to make them as versatile and as toneful as possible and as useful. And so that's why, again, the switches for true bypass or buffered output, the outputs for each side, so you can change the order or put them in a looper, or it's all about trying to make these as useful as possible for the working player.
Sure, well, you've certainly thought about them, so thank you again. Just for reference, we have been using an Ibanez AM93 guitar, and we've been going through a Blackstar Artist 30 amp, which is a very clean amp. So thank you for watching. Thank you, Zach, for coming to see us. Please rate, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.